We're live. Game week 27 deadline stream. It's good to have you on board if anyone's watching at this time. Feel free to say hello in the chat. Lots to get through today. All the expected data, expected points, etc. to take you through. Predicted lineups. We'll keep a live weather forecast in Leeds for the Brighton game at 3 p.m. See what the snow's like. We've got a captaincy decision, big one this week in terms of do you pick a Brighton player or Ivan Toney? For the record, I've currently got my captaincy on Toney, but we can hash that through. And we'll look at all the underlying numbers, my team. You can look at your team as well on Draft Time. But if you're around, feel free to say hello in the chat. I'll give it a couple minutes and I'll start racking through the content that I've got for you guys. I'll be live right up until the deadline at 11. Yeah, good times. 2.5 hours. Let's go. Just finish me coffee. But hope you've got a nice weekend plan wherever you're watching from. Worth moving Odegaard to McAllister. Depends how many free transfers you've got and what the state of your team is next week, because if you're making that move, you've got to think of it as like a 2-week thing, because McAllister blanks next week. Odegaard and McAllister play the same number of fixtures over the next 2 weeks. So I'd suggest if you cannot field 11 or even 10 next week by making a move, I wouldn't bother. Odegaard's picked to start this week as well, so I don't think there'll be a whole lot between them. I don't think it's worth it. But if you can field 11 players and just bench McAllister next week, then go for it. But if you can't do that, I wouldn't bother. And also, if you don't have a captain who doubles this week and you're buying McAllister for that, it's probably worth it. If you've already got like Toney and Matoma and what have you, I don't think Odegaard is a transfer out myself. Hello Ben, mate. Good to see you too. Yeah, I missed it last week too. Just unfortunately, things in life got in the way. I had a wedding to go to, which is obviously lovely. I had an appointment in the morning that I couldn't miss. It was the only time I could get one. So, Sparta, good to see you too, mate. 1 free. Yeah, I wouldn't use it on Odegaard to McAllister in that case, mate. I just look for another transfer to use elsewhere. I will look at your team in Draft Time, Ben, once I get through all the stuff I've got planned. No problem at all, mate. So exactly what have I got planned? Well, I've got all the underlying numbers to show you, which should no whatties, which should help you for all your picks and captaincies, etc., etc. This one's pretty obvious. We all know the teams with a double game week this week, but I'm going to go through it just for the sake of it, really, because it's a preview of 27. So we've got a double game week for Brighton, Brentford, Palace and Southampton. The Brighton double is Leeds and Crystal Palace. The Brentford one is Everton and Southampton. Palace have got Man City, Brighton, and Southampton have got Man United and Brentford. To be honest, I really don't rate that Crystal Palace double game week. I don't think they're going to get too much out of it. And to be honest, Crystal Palace aren't very good at the moment at all. I think they'll probably get spanked by Man City, in all honesty. And Brighton are in a really good moment. Given that they're a bit of a rival as well, I expect that to be quite a cagey game. It's one thing to note, actually, about captaining a Brighton player this game week. The Brighton Crystal Palace is like their derby, so it's probably going to be quite a cagey affair. So the two teams for me really are Brighton and Brentford to target. I don't mind James Ward-Prowse from Southampton. I know they've got, I'd say they're 2 tough fixtures, but the fact that Ward-Prowse can just get a free kick and a penalty against anyone, I think it sort of negates the opposition he comes up against. I think he's a decent option. So maybe he's like my outside punt for the week. But obviously, we all know who the Brighton and Brentford players are. And I've got some features on them to help you decide which ones are the best. But that's the fixtures for this week. Taken from Draft Time, what I've done is pulled up the top, I think this is 10. Is it 10 players? Top 10 players from each position for expected points. For the game week. So it's no real surprise. This is goalkeepers and defenders on this screen. No real surprise that it's dominated by Brentford, Brighton and Southampton players, because they're the best defences and they both double this week. So Raya comes out on top in terms of expected points. Steele a close second. I'm a bit meh on Steele. I think, and you'll see later on, he's predicted to start the first game against Leeds, but I think Rob Sanchez is such a good goalkeeper that I'd be surprised if Steele started every game for the rest of the season. So yeah, it's just one to consider. I don't mind him like maybe just this week, but obviously he blanks. He blanks in game week 28. So is it really worth bringing him in? Then we've got Bazanu, Guaita, Alisson, Edison, De Gea, Forster, Ramsdale, Kepa and Pope. And then top of the defenders list is Estupinian from Brighton. You've got Veltman, Dunk, Webster, Pinnock, Hickey, Henry, me, and then 3 Southampton defenders to round it off. So I think it's pretty obvious, really. The 2 top teams to pick from defensively this week are Brighton and Brentford. And then on to the midfielders and strikers. So Mitoma is actually the top player for expected points according to Draft Hound this week. Quite an interesting one, actually. My gut tells me that TONEY is probably a better captaincy pick. And to be honest, there's not much in it in expected points. It's 0.5 of a point. But yeah, it's just interesting to see that Mitoma is leading the way. McAllister a close second with 10. Then TONEY in third, and then I'll just go by position. Solly March is up there. Wisser from Brentford is up there. Gross, Ward-Prowse, who I mentioned. And then all the top single game week players are up there. And then in terms of strikers, you've got TONEY, Ferguson, Haaland, and Mbeumo, Kane, and you can see the rest of the list there. But the popular single game week, the single game week players that we know are decent are obviously towards the top of these lists as well. And then we got some goal involvement in goal scoring odds. Interesting. Danny Welbeck is the top player in game week 27 to be involved in a goal, whether that be scoring or getting an assist, which I thought was quite interesting. Haaland is still right up there in terms of goal involvement and goal scoring odds, despite not having a double game week. So people considering selling Haaland this week, I absolutely don't think it's worth it this week. It's definitely a job for next week, unless you're selling him for someone like TONEY for captaincy. Maybe in that case it makes sense. And yeah, it's filled again with Brighton and Brentford players, as you'd expect, and the top sort of single game week players that we know and love, so the likes of Rashford and Salah, they're all appearing, and Kane as well. But yeah, Danny Welbeck top. Didn't expect that. And then in terms of clean sheet odds, unfortunately Draft Hound rank these teams by the first fixture of the game week. So Brighton and Brentford appear towards the bottom. But if you combine their clean sheet percentages, Brighton are top this week. I think their combined clean sheet odds are over 60%. It's not just when you're adding up percentages, it's not just a case of adding them up and getting a total. You've got to do a bit more maths with it. But I know that Brighton come in at top, and then Brentford are second or third on this list. And then a single game week teams, you've got Man City, Man United, Tottenham, Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, West Ham and Everton. I'd say anything below that, you can't really expect a clean sheet from, especially like Southampton and Crystal Palace. I mean, outside chance of Southampton keeping one at Brentford, I'd suggest, but Crystal Palace, I don't think they're getting a single clean sheet this game week, to be honest. A quick little look at how my team's looking. I used my wild card last week, which absolutely backfired on me completely. I had both Salah and Darwin Núñez in my team, and I probably would have scored nearly, 80, 90 points last week, and I ended up only scoring 30, I believe. To be honest, I haven't even opened really the FPL app since last week. I've been doing all my stuff in Draft Hound because I just wanted to forget about it. But yeah, I had an appalling game week after my wild card. So hoping now, I literally have, in my opinion, apart from maybe not having McAllister, probably the best 11 you can pick this week. So I'm really quite happy with this team. So hopefully it will score me those 97 points that I'm predicted. And as I mentioned, we've got a bit of a decision to make, really. I think there are 2 positions in teams in particular where there are multiple options that are pickable this week, and it's a case of deciding between them. So first up, we've got the Brighton midfielders, being Solly March, Mitoma and McAllister. I've got Solly March and Mitoma, and I think my opinion has changed just after the result of last week, really. I personally think McAllister is probably the best option of the 3. I was having a chat with someone on Twitter, and someone left a comment on one of my YouTube videos earlier in the week. But he's playing that sort of free number 8 position that Gundogan used to play for Man City, where he had his nearly 20-goal season, I think, in the Premier League, and he takes the penalties and the free kicks. So I think when he plays that position, at least, McAllister is the best of the Brighton options. It's just whether he sticks in that position for both fixtures of the double. I think he probably could, but when he doesn't, he drops back into centre defensive midfield and doesn't really get involved in the attack and returns at all. In terms of actual underlying numbers across the season, Solly March tops the list. I think it's tactical history of him as a manager and just the way Brighton are playing at the moment. De Zerbi, the Brighton manager, puts a lot of attacking responsibility on Solly March. And his probably important to note that his expected returns, it might be the highest, but they're weighted more towards assists. I'm pretty sure he takes most of the corners for Brighton. And yeah, he just tends to get more involved in assists than goals, but obviously that's still points bearing. And then Matoma, he's definitely the best on the eye, and he leads the way in terms of expected points, but his actual underlying numbers are the worst of the three, which is just an interesting thing, really. So for me, I think I'd rate them probably genuinely the order that they're in the text there. So McAllister top, Solly March second, and Matoma third, which is a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? A bit on the counter of what you can see from the expected points, but yeah, I'm very jealous of people that have McAllister. I probably should have went for him last week, but I just didn't really quite realise the positions that he's taken up at the moment. And then the other position was the Brentford defenders. So if you haven't already played your wildcard, I think you probably should be picking a Brentford defender this week, purely because they double this week. They got 2 decent fixtures for clean sheets, and they double in 29 as well. So I think it's a very sensible transfer if you can make it to bring in a Brentford defender. For me, though, you've got to play the lottery of the Brentford defence. Basically, in my opinion, there's really not much to choose between them. Pinnock, I think, leads the way in terms of underlying numbers, and he is the cheapest of the three. Rico Henry plays the more attacking role. Obviously, he's a fullback, so he's going to bomb forward a bit more. But I'd suggest he probably has the fewest expected minutes, just because a fullback tends to run more than a central defender. So yeah, he's going to be subbed earlier, more likely. And then Ben Mee's got the most actual returns, but he's over 5 million. So for me personally, I think I'd rule Ben Mee out just because of his price, and I'd probably go for Henry or Pinnock instead. Excuse me. Just looking at the chat. Hello, Alexandru and James. Just Jackler. I have Salah and Haaland. Is it worth getting rid of them after today for a Villa and another Newcastle, or should I just keep Salah and just transfer Haaland? I definitely think Haaland is a transfer out for next week if you can do it. With Salah, it just depends really who you can bench. Like if you can't field an 11 next week, it might be worth a transfer for Salah. I definitely like the thought of going Haaland to Ollie Watkins and then just leaving yourself enough money in the bank to go back to Haaland. But I think for me, it just depends on what your team looks like in Game Week 28 without Salah, if that makes sense. Danny, I'm not a big fan of Pascal Gross, I've got to say. Doesn't take the penalties anymore from Brighton, and he's playing the deep midfield position. So, yeah, not too sure about him. Jensen's decent. I think there are probably better options, i.e. the Brighton midfielders. And to be honest, I think the Arsenal midfielders could well outscore him, even though they've only got a single. So I just don't think Jensen gets involved in the goals. I know he's a good player, but yeah, just not completely sold on him. He's a very, very outside differential for me. Could well pop up with a goal, to be fair, but I just don't feel he's a player you want lingering around in your team, especially if he doesn't do well this game week. Like if Jensen just blanks and then you're stuck with Jensen next week, it just doesn't feel very good. So I think someone just like Martinelli or Odegaard would be better, even though they only have a single this week. This was a requested feature. I can't remember if this was you, Ben, that asked for this, but someone asked for my score predictions for each of the games. Now, I wrote this up on Friday, so I'm going to say some of them might have changed, to be honest, because opinions change all the time about these things, but I thought I'd do a score prediction for each of the fixtures. So starting off, we've got the early kickoff, Bournemouth against Liverpool. I think this will be a pretty clear run for Liverpool. I think they're in a good moment. Salah and Nunez are on fire. They seem to be keeping clean sheets. Although, to be honest, they've not been... Well, in my opinion anyway, the defence of Liverpool has not passed like my eye test, but they've somehow been keeping like 6 or 7 consecutive clean sheets, but they just give up chances every game. So I'm not quite sure how they've managed that, but I do think Liverpool will blow Bournemouth away 3 or 4-0. I've gone for 4-0 there. And I think Salah and Núñez, unfortunately for me, because they're not in my team, will probably be among the attacking returns. I think Everton-Brentford will be a tight one. Just given the physicality of the two Everton centre-backs, I think they'll give TONEY a bit of attention in quite a tough game. What we do see is TONEY is just such a good option for like the long ball. I'm not saying Brentford play long ball football because they're far from that, but TONEY is so important to their attack, and I think Tarkowski and Cody could do a better job on him than some Premier League defensive pairings. So I think it'd be a tight game. Brentford probably have enough, but I think they'll probably only score sort of 1 goal. So I've gone for 1-0 Brentford in that one. Leeds and Brighton. I think Leeds are just going to be absolutely desperate for a win, so I think they'll find a way to score a goal, but Brighton's quality will shine through. And yeah, they'll probably score 2 or 3 goals because I just think Leeds are a bit messy at the back. Leicester and Chelsea. That's probably going to end, in my opinion, in a draw. Chelsea don't have Reece James. He's ill, I think, is the reason Potter gave. So yeah, and Leicester look pretty good, especially when Maddison is in the team. They look decent going forward. So I think they can score goals against Chelsea. So I'll go for something like 2-2. That feels like a result that could happen. And I know Leicester lost to Southampton last week, but they made so many chances. I think they had 4 or 5 goal-scoring chances in the first half alone. They just didn't put them away. I think they'll probably pull their finger out and score some goals against Chelsea. Spurs and Forest. I think Spurs will just edge it, but I don't see them blowing any teams away at the moment. It feels like with that whole Richarlison drama and Conte just being Conte, I don't think the Spurs fans are too keen on him at the moment. It feels like the club are in a bit of a bad spot. So I think Spurs will win, but only something like 1-0. And then Man City, they are just in a really good run of forward. I see someone said City won't win 5-0. That's your opinion, mate. Totally entitled to it. But I just think Crystal Palace are not in a good spot at the moment. And I think Man City can score quite a number of goals against them. I know Selhurst Park is a tough place to come, but having watched Man City in their last couple of games, I just think they're in a really good spot at the moment, in really good form. I think they could score genuinely 5 goals against Palace. Arsenal-Fulham. I think Fulham are too good going forward to not score. So I think it's going to be 3-2 to Arsenal. Man United Southampton. I'm a Man United fan. We always seem to struggle in this fixture. I know we've won one of them 9-0 in the past, but Southampton always give us a game. Excuse me, I got a bit of a cold, so I just have to keep blowing my nose, so apologies. I appreciate the Will Poulter love, by the way. And yeah, so I think it'd be a close-ish game. I think James Ward-Prowse could nick a free kick or something like that. But I do see Man United winning out. So that'll probably be 2-0 in my opinion. West Ham and Aston Villa. I don't really see many goals in this game. I think West Ham play in a good way to counter the attacking threat that Villa possess. And I just think it'd be a cagey game. So it might well end 0-0. The only 0-0 I've predicted of the weekend. I think Newcastle will have too much for Wolves. Don't think Wolves offer too much going forward still. And I think Newcastle are good defensively. I think Pope is back now, isn't he? As well as Bruno Guimaraes. So I think Newcastle will start finding some defensive form again. And then the 2 fixtures to complete the double. Brighton, I think, will win over Crystal Palace. I think it'd be a cagey game. It usually is for the derby, but I just think Brighton have too much quality at the moment for Crystal Palace, who are not in a great run of form. And with Brighton being at home as well, I think they'll win over. And similar with Brentford, Southampton, I think it'd be quite cagey. Southampton will do a good job against Brentford, but I just think the quality that Brentford have, especially through TONEY, will shine through. So over the course of the week, I think TONEY probably get an attack and return in both games, in my opinion. I think they're set up to do that. Yeah, let me know what you think of those predictions. Hopefully you didn't get too bored me rambling about the footy results, but yeah, I think they're pretty sensible predictions. The City 5-0 one's pretty big, but I think that could genuinely happen. I don't think Palace are very good at the moment. I'm good, Brisky. Good to see you, mate. Haaland to João Felix next week. Yeah, I don't mind it. I think selling Haaland for someone like Felix or Watkins for Game Week 28 is fine because, well, João Felix has a double in 29, doesn't he? So does someone like Ollie Watkins. And Haaland blanks in 28 and then plays Liverpool, who have kept 6 consecutive Premier League clean sheets. So yeah, they got 3 games to Haaland's 1 if you do that. So I think it's a good transfer. As long as you have enough money to bring Haaland back in 30 with the money that you'll lose on him, because you probably held him for, well, basically all season. So you'll obviously lose some value in him. So just make sure you can buy him back. Is it worse to not have Toney? Yeah, I'd be scared if I didn't have Toney this week. Sorry, mate. Is captaining Estupinian too risky? It's a bit of a risk. If we look at the expected points a second. So Estupinian sits at 10.1 and Matoma sits at 10.4. So Estupinian actually has more predicted points according to my source, Draft Hound, than Toney. So I don't think it's a terrible idea. The only thing I would say about captaining defenders in FPL is the worst emotion to go through when playing fantasy football is just willing on a clean sheet. That's all I'd say. But I don't think it's a bad idea. If you're going to sit there, watch Sky Sports News for the 3 o'clock kickoffs or whatever, praying for a Brighton clean sheet, it's going to be pretty tough. Yes, Cannon Fodder, you should hold the transfer if you can. We've got a blank coming up next week. You'll probably want to sell at least 1 or 2 players to deal with it. So, yeah, I'm rolling this week. Big decision is captaincy. Answered your question, Yashpal. I'll do Draft Hound in a few slides time, mate. I've got the predicted lineups to go through first. Danny Victor, have Saka and Maddison. I could only start one of them. I'd go with Saka. I think Maddison's got the tougher fixture. Saka's on penalties. I think he's a better player than Maddison as well, so I'd do that. Not sure about Rashford captain this week. I think it's a Brentford, a Brighton, or just Erling Haaland, really. Alexandra, in my opinion. Are people interested in the predicted lineups? I'm going to go through them anyway, but maybe it's just one time round. FPL Seagull seems to be a bit of a Brighton insider on Twitter. So he's predicted the Brighton starting 11, and it's there, probably as expected. De Zerbi confirmed that March is now fit after having a little bit of a niggle. So yeah, March is expected to start, and yeah, the main guys that people own are expected to start. Apart from Welbeck, who I mentioned was top of all the goal predictions. He's not expected to start. Expected to be Ferguson up top. Don't mind Ferguson as an option actually, and I don't think you can get too upset if your 4.6 million striker doesn't play both games of the double. I think he's a decent option. And yeah, Seagull's just saying there. He thinks Ferguson is the best striker for Brighton, but expects Welbeck to take some minutes off him. So next up, we have the Arsenal team. I'm hoping this translates across okay on stream so you can read it. But the Arsenal team is quite a predictable job. Apart from, it's the front 3 is expected to be Reece Nelson, Saka and Martinelli. Trossard, Nketiah and Jesus aren't fit for this week by the looks of it. So it's expected that Reece Nelson, Saka and Martinelli will start. Likely Martinelli centre forward again, which, God, selling Martinelli for Odegaard has just been an absolute disaster for me. Odegaard did miss the game against Lisbon with an illness. And I'd say, even though he might be back for this week, he might be playing in a bit of a compromised way. Just think naturally, when you come back from an illness, you're not 100% in a couple of days, are you? You do take a little bit of time to get back to 100%. So I'm not sure he'll be absolutely 100%, but I think he'll play. And then it's the rest of the predictable team, really. Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey and Xhaka. We've got the Chelsea team next. I just thought these would be the teams of interest, either the ones that rotate the most or people will own assets from. So the Chelsea team, there's lots of potential rotation in this one. So there's not a lot of players here that are very, very likely to start. And by the way, I didn't mention this on the Arsenal lineup. All these tables come from an account called Jump the Wave on Twitter. I think she has a group of 20 fans from each of the major Premier League teams. And each week they predict the lineup. And they've been doing it all season, so there's a history of their predictions. And then Emma combines their prediction this week with the level of accuracy based on what their predictions were in the previous weeks. And then the percentage number at the bottom of the table gives you a nice round percentage of their likelihood to start based on all of those parameters I just said. I won't go through them all because there's so much potential rotation amongst Chelsea. But the lads that I've seen mentioned in the chat, Likes of João Felix, Enzo Fernandez is expected to start. Fofana, really like Chilwell as an option. He seems to be back in 100% in playing every game now. So I actually prefer Chilwell to James as a Chelsea defender. So maybe if you're looking or wildcard in 29, really like Ben Chilwell. Let's have a catch up on the chat. I don't think Liverpool can leapfrog United for third. I'm a Man United fan, so this is going to be quite a biased opinion. But I really do think that 45 minutes at Anfield was a bit of a freak for United. They've just beaten Real Betis 4-1 at Old Trafford. Betis are a decent team, and they just scored 4 goals against them. So I think Man United are good enough to get the third place. I don't think they'll be challenging for the title anymore. I think that's just chop the legs off them really in terms of the title charge. Although I do think Liverpool are good enough to get fourth. Absolutely good enough to get fourth. I think they're better than Spurs and Newcastle, but I don't think they're quite good enough to leapfrog United. March captain, it's fine. I think there are 4 captaincy picks this week. The 3 Brighton midfielders, you captain any one of them. In fact, 5, I'd say Estupinian's a captaincy shout as well. And then TONEY as well. So yeah, March is a decent option. Should I go Darwin to TONEY or Tarkowski to Estupinian? Oh, Tarkowski. Ooh. It depends who you plan to captain, Brisky. Who do you think is the best captain this game week? If you think it's TONEY, you should probably do Darwin to TONEY. But if you think you could get away with captaining someone else, keep Darwin in your team and buy Estupinian. Yeah, hopefully you're finding these lineups are good, mate. I'll go through the rest of the teams. I've got Liverpool, Man City and Man United to come up. Hopefully they'll be that's the rest of the teams you want to see. Danny Ward or Kepa? I think I'd go Kepa. I think of the 2 teams, Chelsea are more likely to concede the least goals, if that makes sense. I know I predicted the game to be 2-2, but I think Chelsea are better defensively than Leicester. Yeah, don't mind that, Ben Keane. Don't mind that at all. It just depends if you can fill out your midfield with... it depends if you want to avoid the Brighton defence and fill out your midfield with players from other teams, if that makes sense. Because you can't have you've got 2 Brighton midfielders, sorry, but yeah, it just depends. If you don't see there are better forwards than Ferguson, go for it, and the same with defensively. But I think Brighton are one of the best defensive teams for the next few game weeks, in my opinion. I prefer João Felix or Havertz. It's a tough one because Havertz is confirmed to be on penalties now for Chelsea. I think Alexandri, we have to flip a coin on that one. Might do that now for you, actually. Should we flip a coin? Because I really do think that's close. So I'll go the 500 side. Tails is Havertz, and that is Felix. Right, this is the only way to decide this, of course. Oh, I dropped the coin. I can't remember what I said. Was that Havertz? I'm pretty sure that's saying Havertz. And to be fair, he does look to have picked up his game a little bit as Kai Havertz, so don't mind that. Should I captain Kane, Rashford or McAllister? I think I prefer McAllister. He's on penalties and free kicks as well as McAllister, just to say. Saka or Gakpo, start any one. I think that's another... Is it? It's not a coin flip, I think. Oh, Gakpo's got the easier game. Saka's more likely to play 90 minutes. And he's on penalties. So I think it's another coin flip. Saka. Gakpo. I'm terrible at catching coins. But I'm pretty sure we said that was Saka. So Saka. Salah captain for me. I'll tell you what, Football Club Noob. The way you can cover off only having one Brighton midfielder is to captain the Brighton midfielder that you have, because then you're effectively doubled up on effective ownership. Just a suggestion. Should you take a -8 for Odegaard out? No, I've just gone through the predicted lineups, mate. You might have sent that through before I did, but Odegaard is predicted to start. So I would not take a hit to take Odegaard out at all. And he plays next week as well, importantly. Matoma. Oh, sorry, Briscoe. I don't really understand that. James, have a plan just in case the Brighton game's called off. Well, I've got one. I've got 3 players on my bench that will start this week, so it's okay. It's not ideal, but it's okay. And to be honest, I think, what's the other Brighton game? Yeah, I think you can get away with just starting your Brighton players regardless, to be honest. I don't think it will get called off, but that's the one thing I'm definitely going to keep an eye on during this stream when we get through the predicted lineups. That's all right, Football Club Noob and Alexandru. The coin can decide all. But yeah, genuinely, some of these, like Alexandru and the other guy with Saka v... What was the decision? Saka or Gakpo is genuine 50-50. The best way to do that is to take the decision out of your hands because you'll just paralyse yourself with analysing. The Liverpool predicted lineup, interestingly, because someone mentioned him, I'll go through. Gakpo is predicted to start. Basically, the front three is going to be Gakpo, Darwin and Salah. Makes sense, they've been in really good form. Midfield is going to be Elliott, Henderson, Fabinho, Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, Trent, Alisson. So the same team that pumped Man United weekend just gone. Man City is a bit all over the place, really. Difficult to predict as they are every week, but it's expected to be Edison, Diaz, Ake. The third defender is a bit all over the place. Don't really know who that's going to be. Rodri, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, and then Foden, Haaland, Grealish as the front three. So I think the one position in that Man City team that people can't seem to predict is the third defender. And then Man United, it's going to be the team that played midweek and I believe started against Liverpool. So De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Martinez, Shaw, Casemiro, Fred, Fernandes, Anthony, Rashford and Weghorst. So that's predicted to be the Man United team. So that's it. That was the content I wanted to go through. Hopefully that was useful for everyone. I'm not going to sign off now for the stream. I'm going to stick around. But yeah, anyone got any questions, give me a shout. I've got if I can pull it up. I've got Draft Hand loaded up and ready. What I can do if people would like it is search for your team and it will pull it out in terms of expected points for each player. So I can have a look at your team and you can see the expected points total if you like. Unish, mate, the wedding was lovely, thank you. It was my cousin. Like my first cousin. So my mum's nephew getting married. It was really nice. Thank you. Yeah, just a lovely day. Saw some family I hadn't seen in a long time. It was just really nice. I sat on a table with people I didn't really know for the dinner. I just got to know them. They were all lovely people. Yeah, I just had a really nice day, thank you. What about Perisic? So I didn't pull up the Tottenham lineup because I didn't know if people would find that interesting. But she has done one. So if you give me 2 secs, we can pull it up for you. Spurs predicted lineup. There we go. So no, Perisic is 15% to start, if you can see that there. So not likely to play. I just need the name of your team in FPL and you'll see how the search function works. So Matipin Debussy, Ben Vlog's team. I say that every week, so I know it's a joke of a team name. There he is. Have you made any transfers so far, Ben? I think you should definitely have a look at bringing in a Brighton defender, I reckon. If you don't already have one. And same with a Brighton mid, really. Don't think it's worth a hit to bring in a Brighton mid. I think you've probably got Mbeumo covered. I'd definitely bring in a Brighton defender for... if you're benching Shaw... Well, no, you won't be doing that, will you? I think it's worth going Shaw to a Brighton defender myself. Just thinking of how the next few game weeks are going to go. I think Alexander-Arnold's a better option than Shaw this week, just for the amount of set pieces that Trent takes and just attacking upside that he offers. I'd probably go Shaw to Estupinian and then play Estupinian. I hope these team names are actually real. I'm not going to say them just in case they incriminate me. But yeah, I think Shaw to Estupinian would be my move. It's a shame you don't have enough in the bank to get rid of one of your like Kilmans or Tarkovskis. Or yeah, maybe you could do Kilman to Pinnock. That could be a shout. If you wanted to start Shaw, maybe you could do Kilman to Pinnock. But again, that has you going. Yeah, they do play next week, but I just think, I think Tarkovsky is a bit rubbish, if I'm honest. Sorry. Tennessee Spring, I'd need your rather than your ID, because it doesn't seem to work for me when I search in someone's ID. I need your like team title, and then I can search in the drop down. So we've got what we got next. Hung like a horse. That's me, by the way. There's so many. Cameron Park, there you are. And by the way, this doesn't make any transfers in your FPL team. That'd be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Mate, I can't make any suggestions to this team other than starting Trippier over Gabriel. I think that's the move to make. And March over Watkins if you haven't done already. And Didi and Decore, absolutely not. Do not do that. Their defensive midfielder is terrible. Don't do it. I'm not going to say Football Club Noob's team in case that gets me in prison. I'm afraid you'll have to reveal your name, mate, if you want me to have a look, because there are plenty of people with that team name. I'll come back to you. Star Football IX. I might. His name's Jason. I should be able to find that. I'll come back to you, Jack, mate. No problem. I'll go through these a bit quicker than normal because we've got a few more people in the stream. Thank you, everyone, by the way, for being here. If you're enjoying it so far, please leave me a like rating and subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. I'd really appreciate it. I'm trying to make, hopefully, 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and it'd be lovely to have you along for the journey with me. And yeah, I do a deadline stream every Saturday that I'm not at a wedding. So yeah, life gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it? I don't do this full time, so yeah, some things get in the way, but I'll try and do one every week that I can. In terms of this team, who am I looking at? I think I'm looking at, I've forgotten now whose team I'm looking at. Jason's team. I think it's a great team, mate. I would start Trippier over Zinchenko, and Mitoma. He probably's got to play over Odegaard for me, and you bench Odegaard, and then Raya's got to go in goal above Raya. So if you did this, I'm not saying Odegaard's a bad option, I just think Mitoma's better. And same with Trippier being better than Zinchenko as well. That's the team I would go with if it was me. Yeah, so many people hung like a horse, eh? What can you say? Including myself. Start Odegaard or Zinchenko? Probably start Odegaard. No Dyer? Let's have a look. I pulled up that Tottenham team, didn't I? What do they say? Yeah, Dyer's 100% to start, by the way, mate. Just for the record. So they're expecting Dyer to play. I wouldn't get Chris Mepham or Tossin, mate. They're terrible. Just, yeah, I think it's Brighton, Brentford. Probably Brentford defenders this week if you're going to pick one, because they don't blank in game week 28, or Estupinian for his points potential this week. Otherwise, just go for Trippier or the tried and trusted. I just would not buy Chris Mepham. Why would you buy Chris Mepham? He's got Liverpool. Like, no. Absolutely not, in my opinion. Football Club Noob. Let's go back to you. Brisky, no, I won't be free hitting this game week. Next game week. No, it's not that, is it? It's this that I do not want to say because I end up in prison. But clearly Jack does this, so... If you have a stepsister. He's 11k! Bloody hell, mate. That's cracking. Great rank. You should be telling me what to do. Well, obviously, that's the play. And then I'd probably do that. Or actually, would I start... I'd probably start Zinchenko over Watkins, to be fair. Are you going to start Davies? Ooh. That's the team I think I'd start for you. I just think with Ben Davies, you've got... All you're hoping for is a clean sheet. Whereas Veltman, even Veltman can get amongst the attacking returns. Henry obviously can. Oh, you're starting him in a 5 at the back. Who for, though? I think that's the team for me, personally. This website is Draft Hound. I would start Saka just over Foden just because he takes the penalties. Trippier, Perisic is not worth a hit. He's not predicted to start. Odegaard probably should be... I don't know the rest of your team to tell you that, Evan, I'm afraid. Yeah. There you go, Jack. Hopefully that helps you. Oh, you brought me in, did you? Who did you bring me in for? I think I prefer Martinelli to Odegaard. Just because, you brought me in for Zinchenko. That's quite interesting. I'd have kept Zinchenko. I think this would be my starting lineup if I was you, mate. If you wanted my opinion. Obviously, captain, you can pick your captain yourself. I prefer McAllister to March, personally. We're going to go back to my team. My terribly ranked 485k overall because I wildcarded last week team. Best striker under 8 million is Ivan Toney, if you don't already have him. Yeah. If I make negatives in Fantasy Premier League team, then we'll make a wild card. The negative will go away. Yeah. You fix your team with a wild card with a bit of luck. Odegaard, I've already answered that one. Marshall McAllister. Captain Mitoma or Toney. Should we? I think we need to do a coin flip on this captaincy. I'm going to say this week I don't think there is a whole lot between the Brighton midfielders. Like I'll go back to the feature. Oh, that's the predicted lineup. I don't think there's a whole lot between the Brighton midfielders this week. I think if you were to ask my opinion, I think McAllister is probably the best. I own March and Mitoma, and I wish I went for McAllister. Thank you very much, Football Club Noob. And Jimmy, I'll get your question in a sec. So I think you should decide if you want to go for Mitoma, then that's your decision of the Brighton midfielders. I think the captaincy this week is a coin flip between Toney and a Brighton midfielder. So we're going to do the big coin flip now. And I'm not necessarily going to say I'm going to adhere to it, but it's worth doing. So, Toney, Brighton midfielder. Sorry about the gunk on the coin as well. I got this when I was on when I was on holiday in Indonesia over the Christmas time. So it's got some genuine Indonesian crap on it. So yeah. We did Toney, this side. Mitoma, didn't we? So it's landed on the Brighton midfielder side. So for you, the coin says Mitoma. Carlos Vinicius, he's crap, mate, in my opinion. Sorry. He could get like 1 or 2 goals, but I would not be bringing in a Fulham player this game week. If you're bringing in a striker, you've got to go for one that has a double game week. So for me, it's Mbumo, isn't it? Or something like that. I can never remember how to pronounce his name. I'd either go for him or Evan Ferguson over Carlos Vinicius. Just wouldn't touch Carlos Vinicius. And imagine, right, if you have Vinicius and he blanks this week, you're going to think, God, he's crap. I just want to get rid of him in my team. Whereas if you had someone like Mbumo or Evan Ferguson, you think, oh, they got a double in 29, so I may as well just keep them because they've got positives coming up. Whereas Vinicius, yeah, don't rate it. Sorry. And I think Fulham blank next week as well, so I would not be bringing in Carlos Vinicius this week. Is it snowy this week? Where I live, it is not snowy. I live in Bristol in the UK, and it's not snowy here. But we need to have a look at the Leeds weather forecast. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate that. We need the Met Office. So yeah, this is the Leeds weather forecast. You can see that. So at the moment, it's a dry 2 degrees, goes up to 5, and then it's likely to start raining at about 6 o'clock. So I don't think that game's getting called off. There's a yellow weather warning, but I don't think... If they can't clear the pitch for a game in the time they've got, because it's not been snowing all morning either, so I think the game will go ahead. They've got, 5 hours? More than that, 6 hours to clean up the pitch. If it's got snow on it, I think it'd be fine. Can I captain Mo Salah? I'll just leave the Leeds weather forecast up so people can see it. Yeah, I think you can captain Salah. I don't mind it. I just think there are probably 4 or 5 better options. Jamie! Good to see you, mate. I'll see you at the game later. Big game. Tarkowski, Zinchenko, Trippier, Salah, Matoma, Saka, Rashford, Tony, Nunez. 1 free transfer. Do I need one more double game week player? Yeah, I'd sell Tarkowski. If you've got money in the bank to go Tarkowski to a Brentford defender or Estupinian, I would do it. You probably should go for a Brentford defender because you've got quite a lot of players there that blank next week. So yeah, go for Henry, Pinnock or me. I think fans would be fine, mate. Like the UK is not, yeah, it'd be fine, in my opinion. I think we'd know if the game was going to be cancelled, we would know by now. I think it's I know the Premier League are capable of it, but I think if they cancelled the game with when people will be leaving, if you lived in Brighton, you'd be leaving now to get your trainer or coach up to the game. So I don't think it's going to happen. I've not seen any tweets to suggest it's going to be canned. So. Yeah, I think it'd be sound. Fair enough, Brisky. If you don't think Toney will score, then don't go for him. That's your opinion. That's how FPL works, mate. You pick your players based on how you think games will go. Yeah, Danny, mate. I did if you want to have a look, I did a score prediction for each game this game week. And yeah, I think it'd be 3-2 to Arsenal. I think it'd be another one where they win it towards the end of the game. I think Fulham, yeah, they have a good record against the Big Six. I agree. I think they're a good team going forward. I know I just shat on Carlos Vinicius, but I don't even know if he's going to play. I just don't think Vinicius is a good option. I think Mitrovic, Pereira, who I can't remember the name of the Fulham winger that's been scoring in consecutive games, but he looks really good. So I think he's a good option as well. If you got a feeling that Toney won't score, then captain someone else. I think that's absolutely fine. That's how, like I said, that's how FPL works. I've got it on Toney because I think he will score. But yeah, if you don't think he will, then go with someone else. That's absolutely fine. That's what the game's all about. What I would say is that I think Toney is going to be by far the most popular captain this week. So if you don't go for Toney and he does really well, and you've gone for someone who doesn't do very well, your rank will be murdered. But if you go with someone that's not Toney, Toney doesn't do very well, you'll gain, but you won't gain as much as you'll lose if Toney does well and you don't have him as captain, if that makes sense. That's sort of how I think it'll work. Darwin over Haaland, I think this week, genuinely, no. I think the fixtures I think Bournemouth will probably give Liverpool a better game than Palace will give Man City. I genuinely don't think Palace are any good at the moment, whereas Bournemouth, they're fighting for their lives. So I think, yeah, well, I've got the game as 5-0 for Man City, so there's more goals than I'm expecting Liverpool to score. Kepa or Ward? I'd just go for Kepa. I know I've predicted the game to be 2-2, but just in general, I think Chelsea are a better defence than Leicester. I think Leicester are... I know they got Suter now, who's tidied things up, but I still don't think they're very good defensively. I think Chelsea probably go for Kepa. They're just a better team, aren't they, than Leicester? But I do think just the nature of the way the two teams have played and how they match up, I think it'll probably end in a draw. But if you to ask my opinion, I'd go Kepa. I'm just going to go through, I'm going to be like the news, and I'm going to do a repeat of everything I went through, because it took me half an hour to go through all the content I had, so I want to get the most out of it. So I'm going to go do the rounds again. And then I'll open up FPL and go through my team. So yeah, as we all know, these are the 4 teams doubling this week. In summary, I prefer Brighton and Brentford, because I think they've got the 2 strongest set of fixtures. But for Southampton... I don't mind James Ward-Prowse, because the nature of his returns with free kicks and penalties, they can come against anyone. It doesn't matter who he plays, he's always got a chance of getting one. So Man United and Brentford, potentially tough games for them, but I don't see a reason why he couldn't score a free kick this week. Palace, I don't rate them at the moment. Man City's obviously the toughest game you can ask for. Toney over and Buemo, mate. He takes the penalties, plays every game, 90 minutes, 100% Toney. And then Brighton Palace is a derby, so I think that'll be a cagey affair, if I'm honest, which is why I think I'm going to captain Toney over a Brighton player. And then I've got a screen for predicted points for each position. I won't go through them all, but this is the goalkeepers and defenders. And yeah, no real surprise that the top players are the ones with a double game week. So the 4 top goalkeepers are the 4 teams with a double, and then Brighton and Brentford and Southampton dominate the defenders. Interestingly, Estupiñán is very close to being the top player this game week for expected points. Someone was mentioning Estupiñán as captain earlier, and I just completely ruled it out before. But seeing his predicted points and just thinking logically how good he is at getting forward, how good Brighton are defensively, the quality of their fixtures this week, he's a good captain option. I will say that. If you want to go different, I don't mind it. The only thing is, emotionally, in my opinion, captaining a defender is painful, because you have to wait the whole 90 minutes for them to get a clean sheet. And yeah, watching a game or keeping an eye on results where you want a clean sheet is quite painful. So if you're going to captain Estupiñán, my advice would be do something that doesn't involve watching the football scores this weekend. Then the midfielders and the forwards, the top player for expected points is Mitoma, followed by Estupiñán. Then you got McAllister, and then Toney. So interestingly, Toney isn't even top for expected points according to DraftHound this week. I'm not saying this should be the Bible. You should obviously take lots of factors into forming your opinion on the best captain. But yeah, I'm going for Toney. I just think his nailedness in the team, how good Brentford are, how good he is at penalties, how many penalties Brentford seems to get. I just think he's the best option. But if you wanted to tell me you're going for a Brighton midfielder, fine. And you can see the rest of the players there who are top for expected points. Then you got the goal scoring and goal involvement odds. The reason that Welbeck doesn't appear in this list is because he's not predicted to start, whereas it doesn't seem to impact the goal involvement and goal scoring odds. So goal involvement odds, you've got Welbeck top, but I don't think he's going to start against Leeds, so you probably should rule him out, to be honest. And then Haaland is second, Ferguson, Toney, all the big names for this week come up in the goal involvement and goal scoring odds. I think that was on screen for long enough. And then you got the clean sheet odds. Unfortunately, DraftHound doesn't add up the double game week clean sheets. It just ranks them by first game of the game week clean sheet odds. So if you were to add the percentages together, Brighton would be top. I think Brentford come in third or fourth, because when you add up a percentage, I'm not good enough at maths to say how to do it. But it doesn't quite equal. So for Brentford, it's not 66% to keep a clean sheet. There's some maths that you need to do. But yeah, Brighton come out on top if you combine the percentages. Man United, Man City, Tottenham, Newcastle, Arsenal. I'll read through the list. You can read through it yourself, sorry. But I'd suggest any team above 30% to keep a clean sheet. you can probably get away with starting their defenders from. But really, anything below 30, I wouldn't go anywhere near a clean sheet. Especially like Southampton, Crystal Palace. I don't think they got a chance of a clean sheet. Nikhil, it depends on your chip strategy for me. I prefer, if you're just looking this game week, and then you're free hitting next week, or you can build a team for next week quite comfortably, I'd go Estupinian. But if you've got one free transfer to bring in a defender, I'd probably go for Ethan Pinnock or Rico Henry. I don't like Ben Mee, he's just too expensive. I think you just may as well save some money and go for Henry or Pinnock, because there's nothing to choose between the three of them. Here's how my team's looking. -4 for it. Oh, blimey. I'd definitely bring in a Brentford defender if you're going -4, although I don't think it's worth a hit. Anyway, that's how my team's looking. I wildcarded last week, so I've been absolutely shafted in terms of rank because I previously owned Salah and Nunez. I think that's probably the best 11 you can pick for this week, bar probably McAllister for March. I do prefer McAllister now, I think. I do have TONEY as captain, but I put it on Matoma just because he's got more expected points and it gave me a bigger number. But that's how my team's looking. I did a little... Mate, is TONEY over Mbeumo? I already said that. I'm pretty sure I answered that before. TONEY 100% over Mbeumo. The Brighton midfielders, McAllister is my favourite, especially when he plays the free number 8 / it's called the Gundogan, I'm calling it the Gundogan role. Someone else mentioned it on a pod. I think it was above average FPL. But yeah, he makes the late runs into the box to score the goals, and he's taking penalties and free kicks at Brighton. So I think he's my number 1. And then March and McAllister, I really don't think there's much to choose between them. March has the best underlying numbers, but his expected returns are more weighted towards assists. Matoma is the best on the eye, but actually has the worst underlying numbers of the 3, but he seems to be the most clinical. So yeah, Brighton midfield. Ben White and March both going to start this week, mate. Yes. You'll see that in a second. And then as for the Brentford defence, basically this whole slide just says there ain't much to choose between them. Positive and negatives for all of them. Ben Mee is the most expensive, so I'd probably go for Pinnock or Henry. Here's the Brighton lineup prediction. So Vishal just asked, is March predicted to start? Yes. De Zerbi confirmed that he's fit and available. He also said that he prefers Steele over Sanchez. So if you bought Sanchez in as a wild card last week, you are so unlucky. There's just no way you could have seen that coming. And I'm not sure quite how long Steele's going to stay in that team. I think he's got a mistake in him, to be completely honest. The Arsenal predicted lineup. So this is from an account called Jump the Wave on Twitter. I've given her full credit for this. Basically, she gets a team of 20 fans from each of the big Premier League teams to predict the lineups for their team each game week. So the 20 fans put in their prediction, and then Emma combines that with how accurate they've been in previous weeks, and then the percentage figure at the bottom, just above the name at the bottom, is their actual combined likelihood to start. So the team is expected to be Ramsdale, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, and the front 3, Reece Nelson, Saka and Martinelli. I'll do your coin flip in a sec. I'll do it now, actually. Coin flip for March and Matoma. So, we're going to go March is the eagle, or whatever bird that is. And Matoma is going to be tails. It's saying Matoma, mate. That's what the coin has said. Everyone holding their wild card like me, I'm really jealous of you. If not, how are they going to offload these Brighton and Brentford guys later? Just think over the course of game weeks, really, mate. I think the Brentford players I have in TONEY and Raya, you can just keep all season. Certainly until TONEY gets a ban, and I'll probably want to sell my Brentford defenders at some point. Then Brighton, I think, are good enough to keep. Like, I don't really mind keeping Estupinian. I think he's decent for his price. Same with March and Matoma, really. I don't mind them as options to keep. I've personally got loads in the bank as well to upgrade them if I need to. Where are you seeing that to, Barmy Army? I think TONEY's surely can't be differential. It's Ivan TONEY with a double game week. He's got Southampton and Everton. Surely not. Where are you seeing that to, bud? The Chelsea lineup, there's a lot going on here. I'll leave it on the screen so you can see for yourself what's happening there. I think the big news really that will interest fantasy football players is that James is ill, so won't be playing. I really like Chilwell as an option. It doesn't blank next week, doubles in 29. I really quite like Ben Chilwell. Well, interesting to hear that they're captaining a Brighton player. I'm going to go for Ivan Toney, I think. My gut says Ivan Toney is a great option. I'm going to be different. Look at me being different. But yeah, I just like Ivan Toney. I think FPL is about playing the game your way. I just like Ivan Toney. The Liverpool predicted lineup is basically the same team that smashed United weekend just gone. So Alisson, Trent, Robbo, Van Dijk, Konate, Fabinho, Henderson, Elliott, Salah, Darwin, Gakpo. With some saying Bajcetic might come into the team, but I don't think that's likely. And then the Man City team, it's 10 players are basically pretty likely. So I'd say it's Edison, Diaz, Ake, Rodri, KDB, Silva, Gundogan, Foden, Haaland and Grealish. And then the rest of the team, well, the final defender slot is completely in the open. I think Stones and Laporte, Akanji and Lewis are all equal likely to start. So really quite tough to decide who out of that lot's going to play. And then here's my Leeds weather forecast. I'll go back to my team. There we go. So I'm lining up this week. But yeah, any questions? Give me a shout. I do have. Oh, why has my team done that? But yeah, if you've got any questions, give me a shout. And yeah, I'll try my best to answer all of them. I can, if you want, put your team through Draft Hound, so you can see the predicted points for each player in your position in your team. Just let me know the title of your team, and I'll probably need your name as well, because if other people have got the same team name as you, they'll all come up when I search for it. So if you give me your name as well, I can have a look at your team for you. Bit of a personal service that I give you. Look at that. Yeah, and by the way, if you're enjoying the stream, firstly, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. If you're enjoying it, I really appreciate it. Again, if you could give me a like, subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. It's my goal this season, hopefully to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of the season. And I really appreciate it if you could hit the subscribe button and come along for the journey with me. In return, you'll get a deadline stream every weekend that I'm not busy. Unfortunately, I couldn't do one last weekend because I had a hospital appointment and a family wedding. So unfortunately, those things had to take priority as much as I did want to do a deadline stream. But yeah, pretty much for the rest of the season, I'm pretty sure I'm free every Saturday morning for a deadline stream. So you get one of those, and I do 2 or 3 FPL videos a week. I also play Sky Fantasy Football, if you're a fan of that. Myself and my partner on this channel, Sam, do a podcast on that every week. And we also play Fan Team as well, which is basically FPL with a bit of money involved. And Sam, once he gets his laptop fixed, will be making some weekly content for that game as well. So yeah, if you want to stick along for the journey to 1,000 subs, I'd really appreciate it. Khalid, we shall have a look at your team, bud. Draft Hound, by the way. Before I go through that, this is Draft Hound. It's a very, very useful tool for me. I do most of my FPL transfer decisions in it. It's got an assistant manager feature where it shows you the most points-bearing transfers you can make to your team. So this week for me, going March to McAllister is most likely to gain me the most points over the next few weeks. It's just quite interesting to see. I actually have the paid version, so some of this might be hidden on your screen, but you can sign up yourself to see all the info. I think you get 1 week's worth of expected points when you look at this. So yeah, Football Club Noob, there is a free version where you see less, and a subscription option where obviously you see more. I don't have an affiliate link or anything like that. They simply completely open about what I've discussed with them. They simply let me use their service for free, their premium service for free, to show any time on my YouTube channel, as long as I said it was them. So yeah, full credit, Draft Hound. This is Draft Hound, and I'm allowed to use it to show you guys. We were looking at a team, weren't we? K squad. Oh, why did it like that? I might have to refresh. 2 seconds. I think I broke the search function by putting in a hyphen. Good to have you on board, Boo Boo. Oh, what's happened here? I think the feature may have broken, unfortunately. I'll try on the Safari browser a second. Well, I'll just switch screen so you, in case I've got any sensitive data. Sorry, I was clicking through all my screens then. Sorry, folks. I'm just dealing with all your requests. Just loading up Draft Hound a sec. We're in. You want that screen. And you want it that big. So, K squad. Oh no. It seems to be really broken. I don't know what's happening. I might not be able to find people's teams. I'm so sorry. The search function is just broken on me, I'm afraid. Sorry, lads. Sanchez to steal probably makes sense. If it was me. Oh, draft time seems to be completely down at the moment. As if like revoked me. I don't think they would have done. No, it's logged me out. Let's see. I think there might be some issues with draft time at the moment. Oh, there we go. Seems to be working now. Let's try K squad again. Sorry, lads. I was just trying to fix that. There's a couple of Khalids with a team name of Case. That's all right, mate. I've got it working now. If you let me know your like surname or second name, bud, I'll try and find you. There's a couple of, it's just a couple of Khalids here, so I just got to choose the right one. Oh, you're an I rather than an E, so that's you. My apologies, mate. There we go. Oh, but then it's still not loading your team. Let's try and refresh one more time. There we go. And if I would press reset, it should show me your team. There you are. There's your team. What I'll do, this doesn't actually make any transfers for you in FPL, just for the record. I wouldn't dare do that. Out of that lot, I would definitely bench Wilson and Almiron. Don't know if Wilson's going to start over Isaac. Almiron, not in form. Gakpo and Shaw, both predicted to start. Both got strong fixtures. Do that. That's probably the team I'd pick if I was you, mate. Oh, actually. That. Because Nketiah's injured, so he's not going to play. Andreas could get amongst the attack and return, so maybe he's a start above Martinez, because obviously you're hoping for a clean sheet for Martinez, because he's not really going to get any attack and return. So, but that's probably the team I'd go for. And to be honest, if I had a free transfer, I would definitely do. I would definitely get rid of Martinez for Estupinian this week. Or would I? No, I'd probably go for another. You already tripled up on Brentford, so yeah, Estupinian maybe for Martinez, because you've got some players for next week. What else we got? Sooners, Gooners. Let's have a look at that. Ooh. Mike Ramsey, there you are. That's alright, buds. Hopefully that was useful for you. Little personal service, eh? Like and subscribe for the service. Only joking, you don't have to. So this is Mike's team. Bloody hell, I'm very jealous. It's a good team. What would I do? I'd probably just do that. Start McAllister over Odegaard. Maybe Trippier over Zinchenko. Yeah, that'd be it. Oh, no, you can't start Sanchez, can you? Honestly, you've already tripled up on Brentford. You could do Sanchez to steal. It'll be interesting, mate, Mike, if you're still around, to see what you did with your transfers. Oh, you've done it. Sanchez to steal. Yeah, makes sense. I like that team. We'll just pretend that Sanchez is steal. It's a not lovely team. I think that's pretty much, yeah, that's like perfect for this week, really. Can you see Chilwell's expected points? 4.4 for this week, mate. There's his points for the next few weeks. In fact, if I open him up as a player, there you go. Any news? Sorry for late. What news you after, mate? I've gone through quite a lot of stuff, so if you've got any particular questions, just shout. I can find the news. FPL Josh, Rollcard, Raya, Henry, Trippier, Chilwell, Matoma, March, McAllister, Salah, Rashford, Kane, Toney, Benchward, Watkins, Cash, Botman, 5.1 million in the bank, bringing Haaland back, game with 30. Lovely team, Josh. I think that's pretty standard template. I've used my wildcard yet in last week, unfortunately. Debate and see captaincy. Yeah, captaincy Toney or March. The Brighton midfielders, when I did a coin flip, won against Toney, but I'm going to give it to Toney. I just back Toney. Thunder Buddies for Mike's wife, Shelley. Well, yep, you're very welcome. I'll just find that. The big question, because I can't remember your rank, is who is winning out of the two of you. I think, mate, if you back Ivan Toney, captain him, that's my opinion. That's how FPL works, right? You got to play it your own way. And if you go with, like, I'm not going to diss any FPL content creators or anything like that, because they're all really good. And it's just an opinion-based game, basically. And if your opinion is Toney's better than a Brighton midfielder, go for Toney. Because the last thing you want to do is pick a Brighton midfielder and then Toney does well. And then you backed Toney all this from the start, but you didn't go for him because people on YouTube told you not to. And likewise, I'm not telling people to go for Toney over a Brighton midfielder either. I think it's really close, and I think most people have an opinion on it, to be honest. Go with your gut and what you think. So this is Shelley's team. Sorry, MJT, I just missed you. I'll come back to you. Leno in goal. Oh, that's a bit of a... You've got some old players in there. Use your wildcard by the looks of it. Unless you haven't and that feature's broken. It might be broken. I think your transfer this week, Shelley, if you've not made it already, is to buy David Raya. And then you could probably just play 5 at the back as well. Because I don't think Mahrez is going to play. So yeah, I'd do this. Yeah. I think I'd just about do that. And then Saliba against Mitrovic that's the wrong team, is it? Sorry, folks. I've picked Michael's team. Sorry, folks. There you are, Shelley. There you go. I just started rambling about some random bloke's team. Apologies. I get carried away sometimes. I don't know what happened there. Let's make sure we load up your team. That's a lovely team. I think we're identical, actually. You literally have, apart from Gabriel to my Zinchenko, Shelley, we have got an identical team. Love it. Yeah, love the team. Yeah, I can't. That's the starting lineup I'd go for. probably Gabriel first or second bench. It's a lovely team. Yeah, can't argue with any of them picks. That's how I'd line it up personally if it was me. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Shelley. But yeah, lovely team. Can't argue with any of those picks. Let's just move it up so it's fully on screen. There you go. Right, 7JR Blues, and then we'll look at yours, Josh. So if you want to check your team, tell me your team name and your actual name if it's a common team name, because it just pulls up every team with that name. So I need your name as the differentiator. Liam, I'll check yours in a second as well. Sorry, MJT. Thank you for being so patient. If you're still around. Lovely team. I don't think Perisic is going to play. Otherwise, I think he's a great starting option. I'd start Trippier over White and go with that. Probably a Tony captain. But yeah, I really like that team. Joshua Reynolds, I'll have a look in a second. But yeah, I love that team. Have you used your transfer yet, MJT? If you're still around? Because I would probably use it on Ward to David Raya if it was me. That's what I'd use my transfer on this week. Who else we got? Thunder Buddies done that one. Looney Tunes. Have a look at Looney Tunes for Liam. Sorry, Josh, it won't show your wild card for this week. It will show your team as it finished the last game week, because it takes up the latest FPL deadline, if that makes sense. So unfortunately, I won't be able to see your wild card team. But I remember you told me it in the chat, and I really liked it. I didn't have any real suggestions to improve it. Can I search Liam as well? Does that narrow it down? There we go. I've got to be honest, mate, I've not thought about a free hit 28 team yet. I'll make a video about that in the week. Sorry, it's just so much to think about in this game. I've not got around to it. So this is Liam's team, I think. Or have I got to press reset? I think this is the team I've just looked at, isn't it? Why didn't that work then? Looney Tunes. Liam. Confirm. Start managing. I think I might have pressed the wrong button. Mike, mate, I have been getting, honestly, this season, right? And sorry, Liam, I've got your team up here. This season, genuinely, I think I could have got hit by a bus at the start of the season. Not to make fun of that situation, but yeah. And I would have done better than I have been by making transfers and playing wildcards, etc. If I just started with the team I had at the start of the season, captained Haaland every week, I'd be doing better than I am now. Liam, I think you got a lovely team for this week. The only move I would make is that. Then I think that team is absolutely lovely for this week. With your 2 frees, it depends when you want to play your wild card. But for me, I would probably bring in David Raya in goal. Because you're not Brentford tripled up yet, and then just leave it. I really like that team. That's really, really nice. Yeah, just David Raya in goal for Ward would be my move, I think, and then start Raya over Ramsdale, because I do think Arsenal will probably concede. Right, just trying to keep up. Robski's Warriors is the next request. Hopefully you're still around, Rob. McAllister and me, MJT. Sounds good. Sounds good. Roberto Correa. I think that's how you pronounce it. There's your team and predicted points. If it was me, I would do that. Don't think I'd start Perraud. Sorry. Just don't think they're going to keep a clean sheet. That's what I'd go with. Burn and Botman is close. I would suggest just watching Newcastle over the last few weeks. Burn seems to get on the end of a corner where he can score every game, but he just never does it. So I think he's got more goal threat than Botman. I remember a Newcastle fan, I was having a chat with a Newcastle fan, and he was saying that Burn hasn't been very good in his last few games, or he thinks he hasn't been very good, and that Target could play some games. So I think Botman is the most nailed. Burn has the most attacking upside. I wouldn't say significantly worse. I'd say they're probably quite even. Josh, I will do your wildcard team in a sec. You're probably going to have to tell me what that is again because the chat's moving a bit too quickly to find it. Barmy Army, I'm going for Tony. The coin flip, I flipped a coin earlier between a Brighton midfielder and Tony, and it said to captain a Brighton midfielder. So if you want to go with me, do Tony. I'm not going to press you to do me. I just have a feeling about Tony. And if, you go for a Brighton midfielder if you want to. Bluebird Steve. Let's have a look. Steve Brownsall, there we go. Hello NCK Footy, mate. Good to have you on board. Yeah, like Captain Tony. I don't think there's much between it, but I just think Captain Tony is the right play. How is he beating you? Yeah, mate. Like, for me, this is not the team I would pick either. I think... I'm sorry, Steve, if Mike shows you this stream back and lets you know, but I think FPL, ultimately, right, you make informed decisions about players you think will do well, and it's completely out of your hands. The outcome is completely out of your hands, and it does rely on a bit of luck. And I think maybe Steve's gotten a bit lucky over the next few weeks. And I think deep down, Steve will probably think that as well, especially if he's got Fraser Forster and Ward as his two goalkeepers. I think he'd probably admit he's gotten a bit lucky. Just my opinion. Although I'm quite scared of Ward-Prowse this week. Just think the nature of the goals that he can score, I don't think he's a bad pick at all. Just because he scores the free kicks and pens, and they can come up against anyone. And I think the way he takes his free kicks, he can score against any goalkeeper in the world as well. Or NCK Footy, yep, I can't remember your team name, so you'll have to tell me that. That's all right, Liam. Hopefully that was helpful for you, bud. Sorry it took me a while to get to it. NCK Footy. All right, that's that's easy enough, isn't it? What was your question? Oh, you don't know who to play. Okay, so I definitely play Raya in goal. I play Trippier over Zinchenko, and I would play Mitoma over Maddison. We've got an identical team, by the way. Absolutely identical to the player. Thank you, Football Club Noob. I'm very glad, yeah. You're welcome back anytime, bud. Welcome back anytime. No pressure to join me. There are plenty of other streams out there if you want to, but it's been lovely to have you. And that'd be how I'd go. And then Tony, captain. That's how I'd play it. Sorry, my phone's just going off a second. I'm sure all's good. All's good though. That's right, NCK Footy, Muldini's XI. Let's have a look at that. Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with template, by the way. And template isn't... And when you look at managers in FPL as a whole, I think probably like less than 10% would have wildcarded last week, if you're saying template, so I wouldn't worry too much. It's a lovely teammate. I mean, I'd do what I did with the rest of folks' teams. God, it's going to be painful benching Martinelli, though. That's what I will say. That's the team I'd go with for you. And then captain Toney, vice on Mitoma. Of those four, I'd probably bench Martinelli. But yeah, it's really hard. Really, really hard. I'm just glad I don't own Martinelli. Not because I think he's crap, because I think he's so good that he's difficult to bench. So yeah, a lot of sympathy there. I'd probably bench Martinelli of the lot, though. Justin, mate, I've had a great week. Thank you very much. Keep or sell for a -4 for Trent. Already got. Nah, just keep him, mate. Don't take a hit there. I wouldn't do Ramsdale to Raya because Ramsdale just is a good option. So I'll probably get rid of Ward if it was me. Should I have Kepa, Zinchenko, Botman and Maddison? I think Maddison could go first or second on your bench. It's a better option than Botman. Any others that I've not looked at? I think that's the lot. But yeah, like I've said a few times, if you're don't worry about having a terrible year, mate. As long as you just need to make sure you keep enjoying the game. That's what it's about at the end of the day. Your FPL rank each season isn't going to go on your gravestone, but yeah, you're going to remember the good memories you have. So try and make the game as fun as possible for yourself. Yeah, as I was saying, if you enjoy the stream, please leave me a like rating if you enjoy spending time with me. I do this pretty much every week that I'm free for. Sometimes life does get in the way like it did last week, but I think I'll be live pretty much every week for the rest of the season. I make 3 or 4 FPL videos every week as well. So if you're enjoying the vibes of this stream, my videos are all the same. It's just me in my bedroom chatting FPL. So yeah, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe. I'm aiming for 1,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and it'd be wonderful to have you all along for the journey with me. Yep, Barmy Army, mate. If that's your feeling and you want to go with it, go with it. I don't think there's enough between the players to really say for definite this is the best captain. It's not like Erling Haaland with a double game week, for example. So I think it's close between Mitoma and Toney. And if you want to go with Mitoma, do it. And if you think it will give you the edge in the mini league, why not? Why not? Why not? Oh yeah, and I was asked to go on Match of the Day this evening, but I sacked it off for this deadline stream, of course. Right, I'm going to have a look at the world of Twitter just to see what's going on with team news, etc. Just going to have a scroll on my feed. Everyone seems to be big on Mitoma captain. I'm on Toney. Don't mind the Estupinian captain this guy's gone for. Oh, that's terrible. What can I say? Dakshin, mate, absolutely. Just let me know your team name and I will, yeah, I'll have a look. I'll pull that off. And then the Leeds weather forecast, because that's obviously a big one. So we got, I'm going to be weatherman. We got dry, sunny, with sunny spells for most of the morning into the early afternoon, turning into a bit of cloud cover for the hours of the game itself, turning into a bit of rain for the evening. But yeah, there looks like no more snowfall. I think they'll be able to clear it all. And if the trains didn't work and you couldn't get up to Leeds on the coach, I'd be very surprised. I think Brighton fans will be able to travel. and it'll all be fine. That's my opinion. And I think with 10 o'clock now, the game's in 5 hours' time. I think the journey time from Brighton to Leeds is about 5 hours. So if you've not left Brighton yet to get to Leeds, you're going to be late anyway. So I think they'd have canned the game by now. They'd seen the conditions in the morning, early morning, and then decided to cancel it or not. I think it'd be on and it'd be fine. What I'm going to do is log into FPL itself now because we're getting closer to the deadline. So I'm just going to log in. I'm going to do it off screen so you guys can't see my password. I can't actually remember what my FPL password is, so that's going to be a good start, isn't it? Yeah, Jake, I'm doing checks, bud. If you let me know your team name. In terms of captaincies, you've probably got a similar team to me in that case. And in terms of captaincies, I'm going for Ivan Toney. Seems like apparently most of the other YouTubers are going for a Brighton midfielder, but for me, I'm going Toney. I back Toney personally. I think going into this game week, knowing that Toney had a double, I was always going to give it to him. So yeah, got to be Toney for me. Not really. No, I'm not worried about Brentford's away form. Because they've won. They've won at the Etihad and they've won at the Emirates. Did they win at the Emirates or did they score? I know they obviously won at the Etihad, and I know Toney scored at the Emirates. So I am not in any way concerned about their away form. I think it'd be fine. And all Toney needs is a penalty. He's literally the best penalty taker on the planet. Yeah, fair enough, Liam. If you want to free up the Arsenal spot, go for it. That makes sense. And I think Ward doesn't blank next week, can he? Double, so. Yeah, exactly. We're identical. That's my team. It's just the way it goes, isn't it? Play Ake or Gabriel. I think I'd play Ake. Ake is back to start. I'd go for Ake. March is more likely to get a 15-plus point. What makes you think that, mate? What makes you think that? I think Toney could quite easily do that as well. Oh, same happened to me, Jake. So it sounds like we've made the same decisions. Yeah, I went March over McAllister, and then I started him over Matoma. I had 36 points last week. Going into game weeks, before I played the wild card, I had both Darwin and Salah as well, and Trent. I dropped from 250k to 485k from that. So it's just, what can you say? Hey, what can you do? What can you do? Yep, F in the chat. F in the chat. Yeah, big fail, big fail. I'm not going to repeat that team name in case anyone clips it up, but I will type it in. That's quite funny. It's a lovely teammate. Unfortunately, Reece James is obviously out. Sorry about that. I'd probably do that. Highest expected points, Jake, is Mitoma at the moment. We can have a quick look at that. That's the team I would go for you for Dakshin. Watkins, Gabriel, or Madison. Just go for one of them. I think their expected points upside is pretty identical. Yeah, captain headache is really real. I'm just giving it to Toney, mate. I'm not thinking about it. On paper, I think Toney's the best captain. I just do. I think Got 2 good fixtures. I know they're away from home, but come on, it's Everton and Southampton, and it's Toney. Let's just go Toney. Is this it? It's player rankings, isn't it? Top picks. There you go. There's your expected points. I'm just thinking about the games, right? So Leeds, yes, I think Brighton could score a few against, and that's fine. I'm already tripled up on them, though, so I'm not too worried. But Leeds are fighting for their lives, so I think, and they got a new manager, so I think they'll be a bit better defensively than they have been in the past. Palace, they haven't looked very good, but it's the Brighton derby. I think that'll be a cagey game. So, yeah, just for me. Yeah, I'd probably go Matty Cash too. I wouldn't pick a Villa defender, though. Just wouldn't. Sorry. I'd just go for someone else. Odegaard's expected to start, mate. Yeah, he was ill at the weekend. In fact, I've got a screen of each of the lineup predictions. So this is an account on Twitter. Jump the Wave. You see in the top left corner there. The account. Emma. She has a group of 20 fans from each of the big teams that people will be interested in the lineups for. And yeah, Arsenal come out. This is the Arsenal team that's come out, and you can see there the prediction. And Odegaard is expected to play. I know he was ill for Thursday, but yeah, he's expected to play. The one thing I would say with Odegaard, though, is just think of it. He's a human being, right? If you're ill on Thursday, are you going to be 100% come Sunday? Probably not. So for that reason, I think he'll be not quite as good as we have seen him be, but I think he'll play. That's how I see it going. Wrong screen. See my FPL login. It's alright. You can contact us if you want to do business with us on Golden Goal on that email, of course. So the coin has already decided that, Jake. The coin has already decided. I did the flip earlier and the Brighton midfielders won, which makes it even more painful. But I'm going Toney. So, yeah. I would Maddison over Odegaard. I would start Odegaard instead of Maddison if it was me. Yeah, sorry. The coin has made things difficult this week. If you believe in the coin, go with the coin, man. Matoma locked. Good man. Do it. I actually don't mind Estupinian as a captain shout either. I just think he's just interesting, isn't he? I don't mind it. I could see maybe a clean sheet in both those games. I don't mind it. Well, exactly, Jake. If that's your view, then go for it. That's a good way of playing it. I think there's so little in it that those kind of things are what you should use to help with your decisions, really. Cal, I will not be free hitting next week. No, I can field a decent team in my opinion, and I'll have 2 free transfers. Not sure about Dunk. He's got a bit of goal threat, but he's not been that great going forward this season. So really, it's just clean sheets. I think Estupinian is the best of the Brighton defence. If you don't have him, just go for a Brighton midfielder if you think that. Free hit, I'm going for one of the doubles later on in the season. I think I could just do with more information. I think playing the wild card in 26 taught me that really you should wait until the last minute to do these things. Wait for more information. So I'm going to hold it. I'm not going to play it in 28, and then hopefully one of the doubles in the future of the season. So in the game week 30 and 34, 32 and 34, I think they're coming. That might be the time to do it. Mitoma. Probably not a differential now. I think he's going to be one of the highest owned players in the game. I think differential captain is probably Solly March, McAllister or Estupinian this week. I think Mitoma and Toney are going to be the 2 most popular. Personally, Jake, I think it's probably Mitoma and Toney for me. I think March, McAllister and Estupinian are going to be a bit less popular. Graham, I'm going to be bench boosted in 29, so yeah. Yeah, I think bench boost is a good option in 29, absolutely. I'm going to try to have 14 or 15 players with a double in 29 to make that bench boost worthwhile. Cow. Yeah, I'm not free hitting. To be honest, I think bench boost really depends on your team. Personally, Jake, because we're pretty identical, I'm going for 29 as well. It just makes sense with our squads, doesn't it? Unless we have like major injuries or bad things happening during international break, I think it's a good time to do it. Barmy Army, you're all over the place for your captaincy, aren't you, mate? It's completely up to you. You've said all the good options. We all know who they are. I've done an analysis. There really isn't much to choose between it, which is why I did the coin toss. My gut says Toney. The reason I'm doing it is because I think the Brighton Palace game is going to be really quite cagey. Toney's just been there all season as one of the best strikers in the Premier League, so I'm just going for him. You're right, Jake. There are. Ben, I think probably yes, but I wouldn't want to hold Matty Cash long term. So if you're bringing him in, if you're bringing cash in, then you're probably going to want to sell him. So if you have a plan where you can sell him relatively soon after 29, then do that. Oh, mate, Toney is amazing at penalties. Absolutely. I think, like, as James Ward-Prowse is, in my opinion, the best free kick taker in the world, I genuinely think Toney's up there with the best penalty takers in the world. His technique is amazing. I'm going to have to go for 30 seconds just while I go to the loo. I've been live for nearly 2 hours, so I just need a quick loo break, but I won't be long. You can have a look at my team for 30 seconds. Justin, I've got something to show you that might help with that. So here is a Tottenham lineup prediction. Just got to scroll through her tweets. It's all been going off about Gary Lineker, a match of the day, hasn't it? I think it's going to be cancelled. They won't find anyone. So you were after Emerson. No. Porro and who else? Well, that's the lineup prediction. It's confusing. But yeah, there's the starting odds. Yeah, all the apparently all the commentators are pulled out of match of the day as well. So like they'll have no pundits or commentators on the game. So I don't really know how that's gonna function. It's all ridiculous. Like, I'm not going to express... I don't try not to express political opinions on this chat. I'm not going to say whether I agree with Lineker or not, really. I don't think it matters. It's absolutely ridiculous that he can't speak his mind, whether you agree with it or not. And then he gets sacked from the job. Like, absolutely mental. yeah, that's all good. It's ridiculous. It's the situation at the moment. And I also just can't believe that I'm talking about it. I'm obviously talking about it because he's been sacked, but didn't really care about the tweet. Like, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And like, so I'm not going to express my opinion, but if someone was saying that they support the policy, then I'm not going to sack them from match of the day. They're entitled to that opinion, whether I agree with it or not. And likewise, if someone's saying they disagree with the policy, fair enough. I'm not going to say you should be sacked. Like, it's ridiculous. And what it shows, well, obviously we know the situation, and I'm not going to say whether I support a party or not, but it's obviously the Tories are in collusion with the people that run the BBC. It's so blindingly obvious. It's a real shame, but it's the nature of the world at the moment, isn't it? De Gea v Pope, I'd absolutely go Pope. Wolves at home for Newcastle, brilliant fixture. For defensive wise, don't think Wolves offer really any goal threat at all, so I'd go Pope. Keep firing in your questions. And yeah, I'd be interested to know what you guys are up to with your weekends. I've got quite a fun one today. I live very locally to Bristol City. As you can see, here's my City scarf. I went to the Bristol City Man City game, and we all got a free scarf. We've got Blackpool at home. That's a very Championship sounding fixture, that, isn't it? Blackpool at home at 12:30. Lots of injuries to our team at the moment. So I'm hoping we scrape a result. We're sort of there's an abyss of the Championship. The gap between the playoffs and relegation, which is just an abyss. You can't get promoted, not going down. That's sort of where we are at the moment. So I'm just hoping the players actually give a shit and give us a performance. Yeah, Jake, we got Alex Scott. He is the best player I've ever seen at Ashton Gate, bar the Man City lot that turned up last week. He's just amazing, mate. I think he's ready to start in the Premier League for any team that wants to sign him. I just think he's brilliant. Unfortunately, he can't do it all on his own, and it's the nature of the Championship that he's in. I think he's contracted for another 2 years, so we can ask for decent money for him. I think he's worth 25 to 30 million, and he grew up being a Spurs fan as well. I just think he's nailed. He should just go to Spurs. As long as Bristol City get 25 to 30 million for him, I'd be very happy. Like, the guy deserves Premier League football. We can't offer that to him. He's been brilliant for us, tries every game, loves us fans, like comes and applauds us regardless of the result. He's a brilliant lad. He was a Spurs fan growing up. It makes sense. And Spurs need a player like him, like a midfielder that can create something, so they don't rely on Harry Kane all the time. I just think he's perfect for them. I'll suggest some transfers for you, Brisky, no problem. Madison or Odegaard? I'd go Odegaard this week. Odegaard's picked to start and the fixture is better. Sorry, I'm murdering your name. Is it Charlie FC, Brisky? I'm pretty sure it is, isn't it? I'll just hover on this screen. I think he's close, Liam. I don't think they've confirmed it, but I genuinely think it'll be in the next couple of weeks. He's back in training though. Honestly, suggest transfers this week. Probably, yeah, he does look strong in training. Like, the thing I think it was a knee injury, wasn't it? The thing with a knee injury is the important thing you can't do is like changing direction. So you can run in a straight line like pretty soon after knee surgery, but what you can't do, because that's obviously what the knee tendons, stops the leg from dangling under the knee, if that makes sense. You can't change direction quickly, but he was taking, I think it was, I can't remember what the drill's called now, where you go in a circle, pass the ball around. It's like the Pep Guardiola Barcelona drill. I can't remember what it's called now. The Rondo. He was playing a Rondo with the Arsenal team, and that's like ridiculous change of direction, moving fast, all that jazz. And he was doing that, so I think he's fit to play. Probably next week, to be honest. He might even get minutes this week. He might come onto the pitch this week. Brisky, what would I do with this team? Honestly, this week, probably roll. Maybe you could bring in Raya, but you've only got one free. And Captain Matoma. Tarkovsky to Estupinian. Yeah, you could do that. I'd probably do that, actually. Tarkovsky to Estupinian. You just need to bear in mind that a lot of your team blank in Game Week 28 if you do that. Like, a lot of your team blank. So you'll be in a bit of a bad position. So if you plan to free hit in Game Week 28, I would do Tarkovsky to Estupinian. I'm jealous of him having Darwin too. I'm really worried about Darwin. I was saying right up, like all the time when he was missing all these chances, I was saying all Darwin needs is a goal in a big game to give him confidence. And then he went and scored against Madrid, and he scored in every game since. Oh, I'm sorry, Graham. There's no real clear answer to that. What does your gut say? Because go with that. I think Estupinian is a good differential. He's back to keep it. He's got the highest clean sheet odds for this week. He's the most attacking of the Brighton defenders, and I think he'll probably play both games. Mitoma is top of expected points, and then Toney is Toney, and he's got Everton and Southampton. So I think it's really close. I'm going with Toney. That's my choice. I flipped a coin because it is so close. The coin said between Brighton midfielders and Toney to go with Brighton midfielder. So I just said, mate, Tarkovsky to Estupinian if you plan to free hit. So I'm just checking. I don't want to show them on here, but I'm just checking my Twitter DMs to see if anyone sent me any info. I have had a very creepy picture of Claire Balding sent to me, though. The PFA is saying their players will not be interviewed on Match of the Day. It's quite interesting. Yeah, no info in my DMs. Nothing spicy. I think the Leeds-Brighton game's definitely going to be on then. We'd have seen something by now if it was cancelled. Let's go on the Golden Goal account to see if there's any latest tweets. Oh, thank you everyone that liked my going live tweet. I appreciate that. Oh, you don't want a free hit. Let's have a look then. I would do Tarkovsky to Rico Henry. I think. If I wasn't free hitting, I'd probably no. That's a lie. I'd probably Yeah, I know, Jake. It's ridiculous, isn't it? If I had one free, no free hit, I'd probably roll. I'd just roll it. I don't think, maybe go for Raya, but then Kepa plays next week. He's got a good game. I just roll. What year is your coin? This is not a UK coin. It's from Indonesia. I went on holiday. That was probably a bit noisy. Sorry about that. I went on a holiday to Bali at the end of December for New Year's and a few weeks. So this is an Indonesian rupiah. It's worth like, I don't know, probably about half a penny. because their currency is quite out of proportion with us. But yeah, it's a coin from Indonesia, so it's definitely not a UK coin, but it's from 2008 in Indonesia. Taku, no, not in my opinion. Not in my opinion. Just think, Toney has scored against Arsenal and Man City away. So telling me that it's a bad away fixture for him, I just don't buy it. I'm sorry. I think you should bench Zinchenko for Estupinian. I've had your team up on the screen the whole time, haven't I? Yeah, I benched Zinchenko for Estupinian. It's a special one, mate. It actually comes with some genuine Indonesian crap on the back of it that I've not been able to get off. So, and the Leeds weather forecast, just an update. Ooh, it's fine. So I don't think we're worried about that one. It's just bloody cold out at the moment. It's absolutely freezing, but yeah, I think it's going to be fine. Honest, Brisky, yeah, I think there's two transfers you make to this team. It's Tarkowski to Estupinian or Darwin to Toney. And honestly, don't think there's much between them. It depends, really. Do you think Toney is the best captain this week? Because if you do, Darwin to Toney is the move you should make. But if you don't think Toney is the best captain and you're going with Mitoma, I think you should go Tarkowski to Estupinian. That's how I would do it. Because I think if you don't think Toney is the best captain this week, then you think he's probably going to score less points than Estupinian. That's how I'm thinking. I'm trying to do psychology, like get inside your head, but I think that's how I'd do it. Let's go back to my team. Like everything, mate, it's a 50-50. So I think we should do a coin flip for you, Brisky. So, tails, I'm calling it, the heads is a bird, by the way, but I'm going, that's transferring Toney. That is transferring Estupinian. I can't actually remember what that side said. I think that's transferring Toney. Not so template FPL. I'm fantastic, mate. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed my stream. It's good to have you here. Enjoyed watching your videos this week. I'm all good. I'm going Toney captain, which by the sounds of it is being not so template. So yeah, I'm doing good. Hopefully you're good, mate. Brighton lineup. So someone just asked me, is Sanchez playing? FPL Seagull seems to be quite a good Brighton lineup predictor. He says that De Zerbi is preferring Steele. So Sanchez for Brighton is not playing. Sorry. I think by the way, if you picked Sanchez on your wild card, you are so unlucky because there was absolutely nothing to suggest that he wasn't going to play. So yeah, I'm sorry if you're in that situation. You're very unlucky. Well, Jamie, who I'll be watching the Bristol City game with in the stands, asks, Mitoma or McAllister captain? My opinion, genuinely, I think McAllister for me, because he's on all the penalties and free kicks. I think Mitoma is overperforming his stats as well. He really is. He just seems to be more clinical than the other two. I just really like McAllister. If I were to pick a Brighton mid, I'd genuinely say McAllister as captain. But over all of them, I'd say Toney. But yeah, let everyone in the chat, please let Jamie know who you think is the best captain out of Mitoma and McAllister. Give him something to think about. He's a good mate of mine, so yeah, help him out. Let him know what you think. Khalid, I don't mind Havertz, but he doesn't have a double. So, yeah. Oh, I appreciate that so much, mate. That's very kind of you. Hopefully you can tell I'm quite genuine as well, because I just genuinely enjoy this. Like, I've been live for 2 hours and it feels like I've been live for 10 minutes. I just really enjoy like interacting with people in the chat and helping them make decisions, etc. So I really appreciate that, mate. And yeah, it comes from a good place for me. I genuinely enjoy it, and yeah, well, I do it for free. So that kind of says it all, really. And yeah, your channel's great too. It's only a matter of time before you reach the hundreds as well. It's a great channel with some great graphics, mate. I really appreciate that. But yeah, as I said, please let Jamie know who you think the best captain is. He's a good mate of mine. So yeah, give him something to think about. Bench Odegaard for Watkins. No, I'd play Odegaard. I think Odegaard's going to start, and it's Fulham. They're not a mate. I think I'd start Odegaard. Yeah. Actually, I've just remembered. I've given you advice that I've not followed. So on a game, it's called Fan Team. I don't talk much about it on the FPL streams because it's about FPL. But Fan Team is basically, it's a game run by it's a gambling company. I'm not going to deny it. It's a £5 buy-in at the start of the season with a prize at the end for finishing in a certain place. I'm currently 39th overall, on course to win over about 100 quid. And I have started Watkins over Odegaard in that game, purely because Watkins is on penalties. And the point I've made about Odegaard before is he was ill for the Lisbon game. I think he's going to be fine to start, but he's a human being, right? When you're ill, you don't get better just immediately. It takes you a few days, maybe up to a week, to start feeling better. Really, no matter what it is, you're not back to 100%. So if he plays on Sunday after being ill on Thursday, I don't think he's going to be 100%, whereas Watkins appears to be, and he's on the penalties for Villa. So, and I think West Ham are worse than Fulham. So maybe I'd start Watkins over Odegaard. Two people have told you McAllister, Jamie, so it's got to be McAllister, mate. I think McAllister's fun, isn't he? Like, you seem to be a man who likes a differential. I think McAllister's fun. Why not? What's my current points? Shocking is the answer to that, because of last week, basically. 1601, there's all me deets. I'm not afraid to say I'm not having the best of seasons so far. Brisky, if that's how you feel, mate, you bring in the Brighton player. I don't want to... The last thing you want is some mug on YouTube telling you to make a transfer that you're not happy with, that goes against your feelings, and then doesn't pay off. So I think you'd be more annoyed if the Toney move didn't pay off than you would be if the Estupinian move didn't pay off. So I'd bring in Estupinian. Literally saying don't go with my advice, because I feel like you would be less happy if it didn't pay off. My worst FPL moment this season, Jake French. It happened on live stream going into the game week, where Callum Wilson scored 2 goals and got 2 assists, and we were all waiting to see if Haaland was playing. The game, so 5 minutes to go, I tried to transfer in Callum Wilson on live stream. I think there's a clip of it on YouTube. I tried to bring in Callum Wilson. The week before, he got his 2 goals and 2 assists, and the game crashed. So I couldn't bring him in, and I lost out on about 20 points. And obviously, wildcarding last week is one of the worst moments, but a lot of people did it. So yeah, it was a bit less painful, that one. But yeah, the Callum Wilson one was an absolute disaster. And then, do I have any high points? High points has just been going live and chatting to you lot, really. I'm going to say that. I've certainly enjoyed that a lot more than I have bloody playing FPL, that's for sure. Yeah, current rank, you should be able to see it in the right, mate. 485k. Yeah, very disappointing to my normal standards, as it sounds like it is for you as well. I think a lot of really good managers have had a poor season this year. The variance has been absolutely killer. I think Jamie's made the right move there, by the way. If you have the blinkers on, Nunes is the one you don't want to sell this week. But Kane, he doesn't blank next week, and he's got a decent fixture in 29, whereas Nunes has got Man City. So I think he's made the right move to get rid of Nunes. I presume you're laughing at me there, James. You're very welcome to laugh at me because it was an absolute horror show. In fact, I'll see if I can find the clip. Yeah, this is my team on screen now, Brisky, mate. So yes, I've got Estupinian. I'll see if I can find the clip and then I'll put it in the chat. Alright, I found it. There's the link. That you might be able to. Hopefully, you can clip on that. I just laughed, mate. There you go. That's a clip. You can watch that. I'm going to watch it back, actually. In fact, I can probably play it for you all, just in the little screen we've got here. Hang on. Just find you the right screen. Deadline, hopefully. Don't know if you can see that. Done. Oh no! No! You're joking. FPL's frozen. Oh, template. That's a shame. Oh well, there's always next year. And you've been building a really good YouTube channel, so that's the highlight of this season for you. My transfers. The game's frozen. Brilliant. Actually, should I put it back there? But yeah, that was my nightmare. I tried to bring in Wilson and then the game crashed and he scored 2 goals and got 2 assists. And obviously maximum 3 bonus points. So I think it was worth over 20 points and no one had him. Second chance. Don't know if you can, oh no, I'm on the wrong screen. Hang on. You're just looking at my mug. Second chance. You can't see that. 965k. So I imagine that's absolutely terrible. Nice one, mate. Well, that's very, yeah. Triple captains. Rashford went really well. I did it. I can't remember what week it was, but I did the Haaland. Because I just thought that was the way to go it. It's whatever, Jake, isn't it? Like, ultimately, I can't do anything to change that. Sparta was there for the Wilson stream. It's an absolute nightmare. I did gain some subscribers out of it, though, because people obviously watch the clip. So there's, there's some upside. Second chance. So after the World Cup, doesn't really mean anything. FPL basically started what is basically a new mini league. Everyone in the game is entered into it. I imagine there's a prize if you win it, but they just called it second chance. So it's just people's scores post World Cup. Tony and Estupinian for a -4. In order to make that move, you've got to work out in your head if it's worth it. If you think the players you're bringing in score 4 or more points than the players you are taking out, then fair enough. Only you can make that decision now for me. I'm not going to tell you what to do there. I think every option you've said is genuinely viable. Tony and Estupinian in for a -4 could work. Likewise, could keeping Darwin and Zinchenko or Darwin and Tarkowski, that could work. Or you could just make one of the transfers. I think all of them are... yeah, exactly. Sorry, yes. And it would make sense. It's only worth it if you captain Tony, I agree. Yeah, that's what I got done on Not So Template. So that was a week that Man City, we were waiting on the lineups. I was either going to transfer Foden to Saka or someone shite for Callum Wilson. And because Foden was confirmed to be starting for City, I left Foden in, who ended up blanking anyway, and then tried to bring in Callum Wilson because I thought, oh, I'll take a 1 week punt. And yeah, that happened to me. Actually, no, highlight of the season, I can remember it now. Obviously, it's the streams because I love doing these. But I had Harrison Reed on my bench. He scored 3 goals, I think, is in his entire professional career. And I had to play him because I had so many injuries in my team. And he scored when he was in my team. So that's the highlight. I think the chances of that and the luck I got from that are just insane. Considering he scored 3 goals in 300 professional games. And then he scored the week I put him in my fantasy team. So that's the highlight. It's a pretty low highlight, I would say. But just thinking of the chances of that happening, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, Harrison Reed goal when he was in my team. Honestly, I would play Saka. I know Zaha's got the double, but it's a really tricky double. Brighton and Man City, isn't it? Yeah, I'd play Saka. The only thing is, right, I hate to say it. If that's your decision, then I think you should be looking at other players instead of Saka. Unless your midfield's identical to mine, I guess. Was it Matthew Lowton or something like that? Or Charlie Taylor? Because I did it too. I brought him in. I think it was Lowton, wasn't it? Yeah, it won me some money, actually, probably him doing that. Yes, James, I think I'd probably go McAllister over March. I'm just really convinced on McAllister. I can't justify using a transfer on him. But I think McAllister's the best Brighton mid. In my personal opinion, I think McAllister's the best Brighton mid. And I'd probably have gone Pinnock over Henry as well, just because he's 0.1 cheaper. But the rest of the team I'm pretty settled with. I really don't think there's another way I'd have played it, to be honest. Maybe Chilwell as well could come in, but I wouldn't do it this week. But I think Chilwell's a good option for 28 and 29. I might do Zinchenko to Chilwell for game week 29, maybe. You took a hit for Zaha. Oh, well, I feel like if you took a hit for him, you have to play him, don't you? You have to back him if you've taken a hit. So yeah, if you've taken a hit for him, you obviously believe in him. So yeah, you've got to start him, haven't you? I think Chilwell looks like pretty, I wouldn't say injury proof, but he looks to have properly recovered from his knee injury. I think he's been eased into the team really nicely. I think I'd start Watkins over him though this week, just Sparta. Watkins has got the penalties. I think that could be a good thing for you, Brisky, as well. Don't be too worried. You've got Darwin Núñez, who no one has. Yeah, exactly with Chilwell. Yeah, and he looks to be like he's going to start every game as well. I think there's very little competition for that position. Same with Reece James, obviously, but he's either injured or ill pretty much every week. It's a real shame, and I hope that doesn't continue for the rest of his career because he's a really likeable player and obviously really, really good. So, yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen for Reece James's career. Oh, wow, we're on 765 subscribers. That's amazing. Thank you, everyone that's liked and subscribed. I really appreciate that. I think we're well on our way to 1,000. It's brilliant to have you all here. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you haven't already and you're enjoying it, please make sure to like and subscribe. I need to get like a cool animation like all the big YouTubers do where it pops up on screen and says subscribe. Because I think that looks really cool, but I haven't done that yet. Also, I was considering, I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Thank you very much, Not So Template FPL. I really appreciate you joining. Yeah, best of luck. Best of luck to you, mate. Look forward to your videos in the week. But yeah, I was considering getting a green screen, but I don't think I need one. I don't know. Do you like me being in a box, or would you like me on a green screen? A green screen is like 20 quid, so I'd happily just buy one. I don't really care. Short turnaround. It's very true. Very true. Box looks sound. Box. We'll stick with the box. I don't think it makes a difference either, really. It's cause the way it's like cropped. I have actually got some nice things in my room, like stuff to show off, like pictures and whatnot. But it's just the way it's cropped. You're just looking at a blank wall. I do have a plant. I have a peace lily plant down there. You can just see the top of it. There you go, look. But yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't make its way into the video. So I need to find like a feature to go behind me. Yeah. We could have a picture of Callum Wilson or something like that. But yeah, I'd be intrigued. I think I've already asked this question. I might not have finished what I was saying because it all escalated in the chat. But yeah, I was just letting people know what I was up to at the weekend. I've got Bristol City Blackpool at 12:30. I'll be wearing my free scarf that I got in the Man City game. I'm going to keep it on for the stream. And then I'm going to a pub in Bristol to meet some people from FPL Twitter and have a few pints and watch the games, which I'm really looking forward to. I don't think anyone will be watching the stream that's going, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. The secret, Jake, is just water them every week and don't put too much water on them. Yeah. And then I mist them as well because they need a bit of humidity. So I've got a mister and go mist them. Honestly, Khalid, Southampton are the kind of team on their day when they play like their best football, they can beat anyone, and they have done. They beat Man United, Man City. I think they could beat anyone. That's the way it goes. Good luck to you, James. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Yeah, hopefully see you back next week. Good luck. Premier League is just that way. That's the beauty of it, though, isn't it? Like we all love the unpredictability and the shock results that could happen. So I'm just checking, just having another look at my Twitter DMs to see if anyone sent me a team or anything. Any last minute decisions you guys are mulling over? I think my team's settled. That's me. Green arrows to you, Graham, mate. Thank you for joining the stream. I really appreciate it. Usually I'd stick around for a little bit of time afterwards for a bit of chat with you all, but I've got to absolutely nail my lunch and then head to Bristol City because the kickoff's at 12:30, so I just have to get there, I'm afraid. A single game week player, Haaland. I think Haaland's could go absolutely mental against Palace. I really do. I think Palace are in a bit of a weak moment. Man City looking really good, firing on all cylinders. You are never settled, Brisky, mate. You are very indecisive by nature, I've found. I think I've given you all the information I can, though. You've just got, unfortunately, it's on to you to decide what to do with your team. I try to give advice in that way because I think there's no certainties in fantasy football. So there's not I have said 100% a few times on this stream, I suggest, but those were quite obvious. There are obviously some obvious decisions in fantasy, but other ones there are not. And this week's captaincy is one of those. It's torn. I think there are 5 players you could captain this week quite easily. See you later, Jake, mate. Pleasure to have you. Thank you for your wish of luck, and yeah, good luck to you too, bud. Hopefully, catch you next week. Who are your? So I've got one more thing to help you with. If you tell me the players that you are considering for captaincy this week, I will put them in a random name generator, and it will tell you who to captain. I can do that for you. How about that? That's about all I've got for you, though, I'm afraid. Right. Well, we'll go Toney, Matoma, Rashford then in the random name generator. Oh, no, that's just random, isn't it? I don't want that. Random selection. I think this is the one I used. Yeah. So, Toney, Matoma. Oh, so you're going Toney, Matoma, Rashford. Toney. Toney. It says Toney. Oh. Need your help, buddy. I'm playing my wildcard this week. Free hit next week. Can you please review my team if I send you on Twitter? Sure. Or you could tell me your team name, and I will type it into the Draft Hound search function, and I'll find your team, and it will load it up for me. So it's completely up to you. Genjar, lovely to see you, mate. Matoma captain. Fair enough. I'm on Toney, but if you fancy Matoma, go for it. On Twitter, I am at GoldenGoalFF. If you want to send it, you send it, mate. Go for it. Go for it. I'm happy to help you, my friend. Happy to help you. I won't load up my DMs on my laptop though, just in case there's something private on them. So I'll look at them on my screen. Or just tweet me if you don't want to DM me. Do whatever. Matoma for Martinelli. Ooh, Martinelli's going to start, mate. So playing his wild card. If you're playing your wild card, you should absolutely have a Raya in goal, in my opinion. I like your chip strategy, but I think you should go with a double game week goalkeeper. That's his team for reference, if anyone can see that. I think you should go with David Raya in goal. But other than that, I really like your team. And yeah, free hit 28 with that team works perfectly. Really like the team. I'd probably do McAllister over March as well. And then I'd start Trent over Maddison. But I really like the team. Inputs for 29. I don't really have many, mate. Like, that team's sound for 29. It's really good. I'd just go with a double game week goalkeeper this week. That would be my main input. I don't really have anything to say for 29. It's a lovely team for that game week. For people to see it. Again, Joe wants me to have a look. I'm pretty sure you were Adrian. Thank you very much, pal. Thank you, Sid, as well. I appreciate that. Cheers for watching. Like and subscribe. Only joking, you don't have to. But yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'll just make your starting 11 how I would have it. We've got identical teams, by the way, apart from that. That would be my team. And then I'd captain Toney. That's how I go. Oh, you've done Matoma for Martinelli. Yeah, we've got a player for player identical team. As you can see. That's my... Oh, no, we're on the random choice generator. That's my team. We're player for player identical. Friends. I would say, Giraffe, it depends. So, are you chasing or are you wanting to hold your rank? Because I think Ward-Prowse is a really good differential this week because the nature of the goals that he scores and returns that he gets come from set pieces. And you can score from set pieces against anyone. I'd go for Steele in that case then. Steele from Brighton. So if you're chasing, I'd go for Ward-Prowse because I think he offers upside. It doesn't really matter who he plays. He can score goals. Saka's just reliable and he's so highly owned that everyone's going to be starting him. So it's going to hurt you if Saka hauls and Ward-Prowse does not very well. But if you're chasing, I like Ward-Prowse. That's how I would say. I would keep Maddison, but I'd go for Steele over Ward and then play Steele. That's how I would do it. Because Steele, unless you're already tripled up on Brighton, if you are, then do what you've just done. But yeah, I would go Steele if you're not tripled up on Brighton. And then we got 4 minutes to the deadline. Yeah, I think Maddison's a great shout in 29. Yeah, he's just fun, isn't he? He'll probably return against Chelsea when he's on my bench too. But yeah, just really like Maddison. He's just that fun kind of player. I'd play him over Shaw, I think. Yeah, play him over Shaw. I'd play Martinelli. He's down to start, absolutely. Both Trossard and Nketiah aren't going to feature. So Martinelli's going to play up front. And I think Arsenal concede v Fulham. I think Fulham are too good going forward. Nah, Haaland's going to have a field day, in my opinion, this weekend. Shaw v X doesn't mean anything, in my opinion, mate. Doesn't mean anything. I think, like I say, ex-club, it's so long ago now that he joined Man United. He's nearly been at United for like 10 years, hasn't he? Something nearly that, 6 or 7 years, something like that. I think Ward-Prowse. Are you saying Mr. Ross? You talking about FPL Raptor? Oh, I didn't say anything about -4. You've drawn conclusions out of that, I think, mate. But I like Maddison back for 29. I do, but I'm not sure I take a hit. But hopefully I've helped you. I don't really know enough context there to advise as to whether that's a good call. Sorry, bud. Oh, mate. Sid. Much love, lads. Much love. Much love. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into the stream. I hope you've enjoyed it. And yeah, leave a like rating if you did and subscribe. It'd be lovely to have you on board. Yeah, come catch me next week. Alexandros, you're a legend. I always remember your donation to my Movember. It's very generous of you, and I really appreciate that. I still do, and it's been a pleasure to have you here. So I appreciate that, and have a good weekend, bud. I do have to shoot very shortly after 11 because I do have Bristol City kick off at 12:30, so I've got to run. Don't do. Whoa. Remembering what the rest of your team was like, don't do it. Don't do it because he blanks next week. You've got to work on your decisiveness, mate. Because it'll make FPL extremely painful for you week on week. I don't know how you do that. I think you might have to do a bit of soul searching, mate. But your indecisiveness is going to make the game less enjoyable for you, I think. I'm doing what's best for you. You have to work on that. Cheers, everyone. It's been a pleasure. I'll stick around for a couple more minutes, just until the 11 o'clock strikes. But yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Probably got like 2 seconds. There you go. Deadline has hit. I should play like the Big Ben tune or something, or play the countdown music. But yeah, deadline's hit. It's been a pleasure, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've got a play, yeah, just Zinchenko would be fine for you, mate. He gets forward so much as well. He's a really good option. Yeah, as I was saying, it's been a pleasure, everyone. I'm sorry I have to shoot so quickly, but I've got a kick-off to get to at 12:30 because Bristol City play at 12:30. But yeah, I'll be back next week for some more deadline stuff, and I'll make a few videos in the week. Always there on Twitter, at GoldenGoalFF. Tweet me anytime. I'll do my best to respond to all your messages and what have you. And yeah, like and subscribe. I'll see you next week. I've got to scroll up, find me outro to make it all professional.